evening, Mr. Naylor. Haven't you a hat?
Of course I've got a hat, but I didn't bring it with me.
Yes, sir, Mr. Naylor.
Got to celebrate tonight.
Celebrate what?
Not getting married tomorrow.
What's the matter? Don't like the girl no more?
I'm crazy about her.
Then what's the trouble?
She's crazy, too. About somebody else.
It's no use, Father. Tomorrow at this time, I'll be Mrs. Stephen Danby.
Really, Ned? You shouldn't take it so seriously. Anne's only being married. Why, I've been married 3 times.
Oh.
Oh, dear. I always forget you.
I can't think why he's so late. Something must have happened.
If there's been an accident, I hope it's serious.
Do you really dislike Steve so much, Father?
There's only one thing about him that I like. His moustache, because it hides part of his face.
Don't worry, darling. If he doesn't come soon, we'll ask the Great Gambini what's happened to him.
You don't really believe this Gambini fella is a mind reader?
Oh, but he must be. Why, the other night he told my friend Cora, you know, the one you don't like, her exact age, and that's something she hasn't even breathed to herself.
The figure must be staggering.
They say there's only one mind that Gambini can't read. Gracie Allen's. I can hardly wait till he tries mine.
Pardon me, Miss Randall's wanting to help me.
Well, that must be Steve.
Oh, and, darling, don't be too hard on him. After all, this is his last night as a bachelor, and you know what bachelors are. Oh, maybe I shouldn't have said that. Maybe I should have told her to be still with him. After all, they may be married for a couple of years. One never knows.
Darling, would you like to do what you fondly call dancing?
Oh, Neddikins. You're in a terrible mood tonight, aren't you?
Hello, Steve?
No. If you promise not to hang up, I'll tell you who it is.
And if you promise not to hang up Grant Naylor, I'll tell you what I think about men who annoy women.
That's one of your typical exaggerations. You're no woman. You're a silly little girl, and I'm making it my business to see that you don't make a fool of yourself. Now you listen to me.
And if you'll just hang on long enough, I'll have your call traced and you'll be arrested as a public nuisance.
Don't interrupt me anymore, or I'll come right down to the club and make a scene that will embarrass your whole family.
You're making me ashamed that I ever thought I cared about you.
That's nothing to how you'll feel if you marry that Danby guy. There is a thoroughbred, no good, impossible substitute for a...
Nothing you can say or do will change my mind about marrying Steve. Don't phone me anymore and don't come near me.
Pleading for mercy, huh? No, ma'am. From now on, I don't let up for 1 second. I'm going to stay right behind you. I'll haunt you. I'll be knocking on your door. I'll be knocking day and night, like this. Listen. Looking for me?
How did you know I was here?
For years, it's been my job to know where you are.
Is that so? Well, you're fired. Father told you I was here. So you two are ganging up on me.
Just thought we'd give you a last chance to save yourself from this rotten mess you're getting into.
I wish you'd go. I don't want to talk to you, Grant.
But you must talk to me.
Must.
You don't want to make a scene, do you?
I think you're behaving disgracefully. Ever since my engagement was announced, you've been heckling me. Just because you don't like Steve, as though that... Oh, go away for pity's sakes and leave me in peace. Champagne cocktail, please.
Made with champagne.
Yes, sir.
Do I have to listen to what you have to say?
I thought you'd be curious.
I'm not curious, but I would like to avoid a scene. Well, go on.
Why didn't you tell me you're in such a panic to get married?
I'm not in a panic to get married. I love Steve.
I don't believe it. You're doing it for spite. All right, Ann, I'll marry you. You asked me to marry you once.
And what did you say?
I said no. I couldn't ask you to live on my salary. I've changed my mind.
So have I.
Now I'll even take money from your father.
Oh! You're the most conceited. Oh, very. I wouldn't marry you
Don't protest too violently. Even Shakespeare was onto that gag a couple of 100 years ago.
Your cocktails, miss.
Sorry, Ann. But wouldn't you rather have a man instead of a stuffed shirt?
If you were a man, you'd take it on the chin and congratulate me. You can. That's the dirtiest trick anyone ever played on me. Steve.
Hello, my dear. I hope you weren't worried my car broke down.
I was worried, naturally. But everything's all right now.
Yes, everything's just lovely now.
Oh, you two know each other, of course.
Oh, yes.
certainly.
Hello, how are you?
But I do want to whisper just one word of caution in your shell right here. Watch your step, my lad.
I beg your pardon.
I've got you sized up, only unfortunately I can't prove anything. But I can keep an eye on you. And if you don't treat Anne right, not that she deserves to be treated right, you understand. It's just my old-fashioned chivalry. I'm going to cut your throat from ear to ear.
I'm sure Anne appreciates your deep concern. I mean, as an impartial outsider.
I think I'm quite capable of looking after myself, Mr. Naylor, thank you. Good night.
Cheerio, Mr. Naylor.
There goes a skunk, and even the scent on his handkerchief doesn't fool me.
Oh, this is worse than a chiropractic treatment. I'm dizzy.
That's no news.
You dance properly, or we'll leave the floor.
We'll leave the floor.
Oh, do you think she tripped me on purpose?
No, darling, she doesn't.
Oh, that's right. She doesn't.
Oh, here's Anne now.
Yes, here you are at last.
Sorry to be late.
Yes, Mr. Randall was afraid that nothing would happen to you. Oh, what did I say? Oh, shh. Here comes the Great Gambini now. Oh, I hope he doesn't read your mind.
You'll see better, my dear.
Oh, but you won't.
Well, I've seen them before.
I love this sort of thing. I adore rabbits.
I don't see any rabbits.
Don't be impatient, Nedikins. There are always rabbits.
Please, my friend, do not be deceived. I'm not here as a magician. Why, every parlor has two of them. Only a fool can be amused by this. Or rabbits coming out of a hat. All of you have seen, of course, those little people in the music halls who call themselves mind readers. But why should I blame them? Perhaps they think there's a good reason why they should leave. Now, what do? They run around the audience, pick up a watch here. What have I got in my hand? And the blindfolded lady on the stage says, it is a watch, right? What have I got in my hand now? What have you got in your hand now? It is a handkerchief.
Right.
Well, it's so simple a code it wouldn't fool even a very little child. But what does the Great Gambini do? Nothing. I do not move from the stage. I do not speak a code. And silently, my mind speaks to the mind of my medium. And she will answer. Now please to put in the envelopes you have on your tables little objects, or some little trifle the lady may have in her vanity case, or the gentleman may find in one of his so many pockets. If you write the number of your table on the envelope, the Great Gambini will return to you your keepsakes. I'll even return your cash if you will accept my check for it. Then please to write any questions you would like us to answer. My assistant will collect the envelopes when you are ready. And in the meanwhile, ladies and gentlemen, I will blindfold Luba. With the eyes shut off, the sight must turn inward. And now I place over the face of Luba the veil of prophecy and of wonder.
No, Auntie, please, no.
My think a girl has a right to know.
Now for the trinkets.
Nancy? Trinkets? Oh, dear, well, I don't know what to, oh, here, take my engagement ring. The one before the last.
Thanks, Steve.
Table number 13.
Yes. Oh, my goodness. Oh, we've been sitting at number 13 all evening. I never noticed. Oh. Well, it's a good thing I'm not superstitious.
Luba, can you see the world within?
Yes. But all is dim. Dim like a faraway dream.
If that girl suddenly disappears, I'm going to faint.
Can mind communicate to mind without the lips speaking or the fingers making signs? Science has often asked that question. Perhaps tonight we shall give the answer, and you shall be the judge.
Table number 11. I see a lady's gold locket and chain. On the back are the letters P.J. to M.L.
My lucky cross.
Yes.
A lady wishes to know, shall I lose money in the little bare oil stock? Not if you do not buy it, madame. Table 29. The question asked I shall not repeat. The gentleman will understand without it. The answer is no.
Why don't you applaud? He was right.
Waiter. Yes, sir. Bring me the check.
Oh, isn't it just too thrilling? I can hardly wait until he comes to us.
Table number 13. I see a beautiful diamond ring.
Oh, it's mine. It's mine.
Too bad it is not real.
Oh, my goodness.
I see. Wait. Yes. A bunch of keys. There are 5 of them. And a little silver tag. It says Stephen Danby, 46 East 88th Street. A lady writes the question. Will my marriage tomorrow be a happy one? This question cannot be answered because you will not be married tomorrow. The wedding you are planning will never take place.
Mr. Danby! Mr. Danby! Operator, get me the police, quick.
Reginald!
job you a favor, get me? Sure. When I get through with that cheap crook, I'll have his alibi shot so full of holes they'll look like a piece of cheese and smell the same way.
Sure. Oh, I only wanted to save you the trouble.
Sure. Hello? What? Who? When? Where? Okay, stick to it and don't touch anything. We'll be coming right along.
Exclusive. Stephen Danby, 46 East 88th Street, just knocked off. Yeah, I'll call you later. Are you looking for something?
Yeah, my hat.
Oh, why didn't you say so?
No scoop for you. All the boys get this at the same time.
Oh.
Sure. How long do you think he's been dead, Doc?
Roughly 8 to 10 hours.
10:25 now. He must have been shot, let me see, between midnight and 2 o'clock this morning.
Lucky you've got 10 fingers on your hands, Sergeant.
The 32 beside him had only one cartridge fired.
And a bullet went straight through the heart. A very neat job.
Would you say it was suicide?
No powder mark. Safe open, contents missing, room upside down. It might have been suicide if an earthquake had happened at the same time. Burglary. Or should I leave something for you to find out?
Just leave.
Sergeant, here's a little thing you overlooked. A .38 shell. See you in court. If the man who fired it gives himself up.
Hey, you. Where you going?
Why, I thought I might fix a little breakfast, sir.
For who? For him? What's your name?
Lamb.
What?
That's my name, sir. I'm Mr. Danby's man. I was.
Hey, Butch, get away from that desk.
I was only looking for clues, Sergeant.
Someday I hope to be on a case where we don't find your fingerprints all over the place. You find the body?
Yes, sir, when I came in this morning.
Sleep out, eh?
Yes, sir.
What's the matter? Isn't the house big enough for you?
It isn't that, sir, but Mr. Danby wouldn't let me stay in the house nights.
I don't blame him. Did you leave everything exactly as you found it?
Yes, sir. I did think I ought to straighten the place up a bit at
What?
first, but I didn't, sir.
You didn't finger anything?
No, sir. That is, only the telephone, sir.
Kind of smart, eh? Ever been mixed up in any other murders?
No, sir. But I read the papers.
We're all through, Sarge. Okay, scram. All of you. What's your hurry? What time did you leave here last night?
8 o'clock, sir. Mr. Danby was dining out, going to spend the evening with his fiancé. He must be married today.
Well, even that would have been better than this. Who's the lady in the case?
Miss Anne Randall, sir.
But naturally you're nervous. I remember I fainted at my first wedding. And at my last.
I fainted.
Please, please, if anybody says another word, I'm going to scream.
Hello.
Hello, Brad.
You don't look like a bride. Not the sign of a blush. You haven't changed your mind at the last minute.
Oh, go away.
I am going away. Out of your life forever.
Good.
Unless you'd like to come with me.
No.
Miss Randall, this man insists upon seeing you. The homicide squad, police headquarters.
It's all right, Norton.
What do you want? Miss Randall, you know a fellow named Stephen Danby?
She thinks she does.
Huh?
I'm going to marry Mr. Danby this morning.
That's what you think.
Well, what is it? What does he want? Father.
Has anything happened to Danby, officer?
Not that much. He was only knocked off.
What?
You mean Stephen was killed, darling? Oh, good heavens, not Stephen. I don't believe it.
Oh, you don't, eh? Well, maybe the sergeant can convince you. He wants to see us all right now over at Danby's house.
Oh, does he? Well, then we'll go, of course. That is, if the sergeant wants us to. Oh, but it's awfully short notice.
How was Mr. Danby killed, officer?
Shot through the heart, miss. With a .38.
38?
Yes, miss.
Could it have been suicide, officer?
Oh, not unless he went outside and buried the gun after he killed himself.
I'll get ready.
By the way, whose luggage is that waiting in a taxi outside?
Mine? Why?
Oh, so that's your luggage, huh?
Yes, I was going away.
Oh, you was you? And where do you think you was going?
Well, as a matter of fact, I was just going away from it all. You know.
No, buddy, I don't. You better come along with us, too.
That's a very bright idea.
Father's study?
I wanted a little brandy, the shock.
Oh, but one never drinks brandy before meals, unless, of course, something has happened. You'd better hurry. That policeman seemed awfully impatient about something.
Come here. Were these here last night when you left?
No, sir. Gardenias, sir.
Sarge, I got the whole Randall gang out here.
Is Mr. Danby really dead?
Well, he was cold when I saw him.
Then he must be dead.
That's what I figured. You, Miss Randall?
Yes. This is my father, and, my stepmother.
Oh! 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 I know who did it.
Who?
A burglar. See? He robbed the safe, too. Oh.
One more profession ruined by amateurs.
I think Mrs. Randall is right. A thief must have shot Danby.
Maybe.
You're not sure?
Who are you?
Mr. Naylor, a friend.
Of Danby's or yours?
Hers. No friend of hers could have been a friend of Danby's, too.
You didn't like Danby.
No, I didn't.
Maybe you disliked Danby so much that you came in here last night and shot him.
And maybe I didn't.
Well, somebody did, and it's my job to find out who did.
My gloves. Oh! How did they get here?
That's what I'd like to know. Maybe you can tell me, or is it supposed to be a secret?
You got something there, Chief?
Why, the man has a beastly suspicious mind, positively tricky. You don't think I shot Stephen?
I was wondering.
Ned, do you hear what he says?
You can't blame the poor man. He doesn't know you.
No.
And you don't look as foolish as you are.
No.
All I know is you've been leaving your fingerprints all over the room since you came in here. If you've been trying to confuse the issue, you've been wasting your time. We've already tested for fingerprints.
I don't know what you're talking about, but I'll tell you this much, just to show you how foolish you are. I was the only one who liked Stephen.
No kidding.
Nancy, please.
Oh, except you, of course, dear. But then you know yourself.
That
Why,
will do,
everybody-
Nancy. The officer doesn't care who liked him or who didn't like him. You want to find out who hated him enough to murder him.
Well, how should we know that? If you ask me, this man doesn't know his business. Why doesn't he try to find out?
You sent for him?
So, you didn't like the man your daughter was going to marry?
Well, I didn't know him very well, but none of us did. Anne met him on a ship only a few months ago. I wanted her to wait until we knew a little more about his past. I didn't even know where he came from or who his people were.
Sarge. There's a couple of witnesses outside.
Yeah?
I feel quite upset. I'm not used to being talked to like that by anybody, except dear friends.
If you don't keep quiet, that tongue of yours is going to hang somebody. The chances are it won't be you, worse luck.
Well, I don't care what you think about it, but I'm not going to stay in a place where I'm under suspicion all the time.
Nancy, try not to be a fool.
I'm sorry, Anne.
Don't be a hypocrite.
I don't mean for him. I'm sorry for you.
Oh.
I know you feel it's a tough break now. In time, you'll see you really got off easy. Though I can't expect you to see that yet.
Grant, were you really going away?
Yes.
Why?
You know why.
It's all so hopeless.
I think you'll find, Anne, that things are not as bad as they look. What I'd like to know is... Anne, do you mind my asking, what time did you see Stephen last?
Why?
It really doesn't matter.
If there were only something one could do, but there's nothing. Nothing.
Cry if you want to. Have a real good howl and get it over with.
I'm not going to stay here another minute. I never saw such people, always asking impertinent questions. You'll see, you'll have everybody disliking everybody else. Besides, I told that flat thief that
Flatfoot!
Well, whatever he calls himself, I told him hours ago that a burglar did it, and if you had any intelligence, you'd be out looking for a crook instead of embarrassing respectable people.
Lady, I've had enough of your lip.
Oh, how dare you talk that way to a taxpayer? That is, I mean, I am practically one. At least my husband is, so there. Ned! Ned! This man is there degrading me!
Nancy, leave the poor man alone.
Mr. Naylor swore he'd cut his throat from ear to ear. I heard every word of it myself. And he called him a skunk.
Okay, you stick around. I may need you later. You follow me.
That woman's gonna get into trouble.
That's him. That's the guy I drove here last night about 2 o'clock.
Is that true?
I'm afraid it is, Sergeant.
You can go now.
Okay, Sergeant.
You don't deny that you came here about the time that Danby was killed?
I don't deny I came here about 2 o'clock. I don't know what time Danby was killed.
But why did you come here at such a time? You might have known that you'd be the first to be suspected.
Naturally, at the time I didn't guess there was going to be a murder.
Oh, but how foolish of him. Because everyone knows that he's crazy about Anne and couldn't bear the thought of her marrying Stephen. Oh, maybe I shouldn't have said that. Oh, what have I done?
You've only supplied a motive. Say, whose side are you on?
But I was only trying to help.
How about your fight with Danby at the Transatlantic bar? Do you deny that?
There wasn't any fight. I merely observed in a quiet, conversational tone that he was a scoundrel, and I knew it but couldn't prove it. And that if he ever made Anne regret her marriage, I'd kill him.
Oh, there was no fight. You just said you'd kill him.
That's all.
And you were only kidding, eh?
Kidding nothing. I meant every word of it.
Well, that's worse than anything I said.
You admit you were jealous of Danby?
Yes.
You had a grudge against him?
Yes.
You threatened to kill him?
Yes.
You admit you came here to his house last night about 2 o'clock?
Yes.
You killed Danby?
No, I didn't.
What happened when you got here?
I'm not saying anything about that.
Oh, you're not saying anything about that. Butch.
Oh, dear.
Just a moment. Just a moment, Sergeant, before you arrest the wrong man.
Who are you?
Oh, there's that marvelous man. Why didn't I think of it before? You're all fools. You can go home now. He'll tell us who did it. He told us it was going to happen.
What?
Let me introduce myself. The Great Gambini.
Wait a minute, let me get this straight. You mean to tell me you predicted this murder?
Oh, I'm not what you would call a modest man. But the lady's too kind. She credits me with even more than the great powers I possess.
Cut the gab. What do you know about this murder?
I know you're an earthbound stick.
I'm a what?
You do not believe that some mortals are gifted with supernormal powers. that to them the future and the past are one, and the present is but the fleeting shadow of a dream. What is time, you ask? Time is the great illusion, the monumental hoax, and the cosmic bag of tricks. Once draw aside the misty veil, and those with eyes can see.
Put in a call for the psychopathic squad.
For him?
For all of us. Look, buddy.
Yeah.
Listen, we're all simple people here.
Ah.
Please, tell me what happened in your own words.
Perhaps I'd better tell it in your words, don't you think so?
Yeah.
Yes. You see, I'm a clairvoyant. I do a mind-reading act. You know, mine here. I answer questions to my medium. So in the course of my act last night at the Transatlantic Club, that young lady asked me if her marriage would be a happy one. The answer was that her marriage would not take place.
And what made you give that answer?
Oh, obviously because it was the correct answer to give.
And you came here to make sure you were right.
As soon as I saw the newspaper this morning, I knew the police were bound to hear of the incident and, of course, to be curious about it. So I decided to come at once and to offer my assistance in elucidating, in explaining this mystery.
Well, it was very decent of you, old man. Why did you say I was making a mistake in arresting this man?
Perhaps because I do not like to see police arrest innocent people.
What makes you so sure he's innocent?
Oh, just call it intuition if you like.
Never mind your intuition. I want facts.
Oh, facts. Here is a fact you seem to have overlooked. It appears to be the half of a mustache. You must have lost one of your clever disguises, Sergeant. Yes.
You listen to him, Mr. Detective, and he'll tell you who killed Stephen. He'll even find the other half of your mustache. Won't you, Mr. Gambini?
Oh, Madame is too kind.
Oh.
She light a knife.
Say, what are you all trying to do? Make a fool out of me? You're not going to throw me off the track. I haven't forgotten you, Naylor. You still didn't tell me what happened when you got here last night.
It ought to be obvious to you that when Mr. Naylor refuses to answer your questions, he's trying to shield someone else.
I am not. And I'd like to know what this trickster's doing here anyway.
My dear boy, I'm not here to harm anyone, but I'm convinced that nothing could be gained by hiding the facts. Don't you think so, Miss Randall?
Say, what have you got in that bag?
It's none of his business, Ann.
Oh, but it is his business. Why not let him see your bag, Miss Randall? Voila. Monsieur, you see, you can trust me. My dear, you don't have to be afraid to tell the truth.
Very well. I did come here last night.
Oh.
You mean after Steve dropped us at the house?
Yes, Father.
Oh, dear. Are you sure? I can't help feeling that you shouldn't admit it.
What made you do such a thing?
Because I got a message last night.
A message?
From whom?
I don't know.
You don't know?
No. Just before retiring, the doorbell rang. I knew the servants were asleep, so I answered it myself. When I opened the door, there was no one there. I found a blue envelope on the mat. I looked out and saw a woman turning the corner.
A woman?
Yes.
What was in the note, if there was such a note?
It wasn't a note exactly. It was a label off a medicine bottle. You know, one of those skull and crossbones labels? With the name Danby written in capital letters.
Let me see it.
I haven't got it. I showed it to Mr. Danby and he took it from me and burned it.
Are you trying to tell me that the only reason you came here last night was because you got the so-called message?
Yes, it alarmed me. Especially after what happened in the nightclub. Mr. Gambini's curious answer to my question. I was really frightened.
Of what?
That Steve was in some kind of danger.
So you decided to go to him to warn him, isn't that it?
Yes.
Why didn't you tell me this before?
I know it was foolish of me not to, but I didn't want my visit here to be misunderstood. My going to Steve had nothing to do with the murder.
You let me decide that, miss.
Don't worry about the sergeant, my child. He's used to seeing things where there's nothing to see, and, how do you say it? Oh, vice versa. Did you tell your father about the message, Miss Randall?
No, I didn't want to upset him needlessly, and I didn't want to waste time.
I thought by this time you would feel you could trust me, that you'd tell the whole truth.
Then she was lying. I thought so.
Oh, no. No, I think there's one point, a very minor point Miss Randall overlooked, but we'll clear it up. Won't we, my dear?
Must I?
Yes. Yes, I think it would be wiser.
After I got the message, I looked for my father. He wasn't home.
Where were you?
Yes, that's what I want to know.
I went to Grant Naylor's apartment.
Oh, you can't get out of it that easily. You're only saying that because you heard him say he wasn't there. Just where did you go?
Nancy, don't try to act like a policeman. Let Sergeant Kirby ask all the questions, if he wants to.
I certainly do. Why did you go to Naylor's apartment?
Because I was worried about the boy.
May I be permitted to ask why you thought it necessary to take your revolver with you?
I didn't.
But you do possess a .38. Do you not, Mr. Randall?
How did you know that?
I didn't. Until just now. Oh, do not be alarmed, Mr. Randall. I have not read your mind, only your face. You see, Sergeant, how interesting our little problem really is. Mr. Naylor has confessed that he came here about the time of the murder. Miss Randall has confessed also that she was here about the same time. Now, Mr. Randall owns a gun of the same caliber as the one which killed Mr. Danby. He explained, but he cannot prove his whereabouts at the time of the murder.
And you asked me to trust you. You tricked me.
Oh, no, my dear, no. I merely wanted to give our good sergeant something to think about. Now he realizes that any one of you three might have killed Mr. Danby, but that all three of you couldn't have.
Hey, how about Big Lip over there?
Thank you, my little man. You strengthened my point.
Before you busted it in here, I was going strong. This is beginning to look like a job for a mind reader. Hey, maybe you can tell me who killed Danby.
Maybe I could. But the information would be of little use to you. It may be simpler to solve this problem in the ordinary way.
Yeah, that's just what I was thinking.
Interesting. Very interesting. And who discovered the body, may I ask?
Lamb, Danby's butler.
May I speak to him with your kind permission?
Oh, don't mind me. Just go right ahead. The place is yours.
Well, thank you very much, Sergeant.
Not at all. Thanks for letting me stick around.
Oh, it's a pleasure.
Butch, bring him in.
Hey, Baba. What's the matter, hot seat? I know one that's a lot hotter.
Yes, sir.
Oh, don't take it serious. I was only half kidding.
Yes, sir.
What?
I just said yes, sir.
Hey, you can't get around me with flattery. Come on.
My great powers are always at the service of those with lesser vision. For instance, you're wondering where the bullet went when Danby fired his .32. You'll find it in a door jamb. But you can't see it until the door is open.
It's there, all right. Butch, take that bullet out.
You discovered your master's body?
Yes, sir.
Now, tell me exactly what happened from the time you came into the house this morning. Omit no detail, no matter how unimportant it may seem to you. Make me see the whole thing as it happened, please. Proceed.
Well, sir, I went into the kitchen.
Stop. Did you not first come into the house through the door?
Yes, sir. I opened the door with my key. Picked up the newspaper, the milk and the rolls, and went straight into the kitchen. I put the kettle on for the master's tea. Then I started for the living room to clean up a bit.
You found the lights still burning?
No, sir, they were off. The room was in darkness.
You didn't notice your master's body at once.
No, sir. I went across to open the curtain.
Bumping yourself rather badly, I should think.
Oh, yes, sir. I bumped against the chair.
You are lying, lamb. You didn't bump yourself at all because that chair wasn't there.
Indeed it was, sir. I didn't touch anything. I left everything just as I found it.
If you persist in this folly, you may presently find yourself implicated on a charge of murder. But if you promise to stop lying...
Yes, sir.
I will tell you exactly what happened. You came into the room. Saw your master's body. Discovered he was dead. Notify the police. Suddenly you realized that this was your golden opportunity. You thought nobody would be able to trace anything back to you because nobody but you had actually seen the room. But you had to be quick. You searched your master's pockets. You searched his pockets. Took the wallet. Emptied it. Found the keys. You went to the safe. Opened it. You opened it. Stripped it bare. You started out quickly. But then, you got an idea. And you arranged the room deliberately to make the police believe there had been a robbery as well as murder. Did you or did you not? You started out again, but you heard some noise from the front of the house. You thought the police had come. So you had to hide those papers and the money. But in your excitement and haste, you weren't careful enough, lamb, and you dropped some bits of earth on the rug. The contents of the safe. Voila, my friend.
I'd have found that if there hadn't been so much interference.
Oh.
How about it, Lamb?
But I didn't kill him, sir. I didn't kill him.
Butch, put this guy in cold storage and check his record. Here, take this with you and see what's in it.
Let's go, honey lamb.
You will find nothing more against him. It's his first offense.
Is that so? You know a lot, don't you?
You're a master of understatement, Sergeant. I know everything. Lamb isn't the killer. He merely took advantage of the situation when he came in this morning and found his master dead.
What makes you think so?
The same thing that led me to the discovery that this room was arranged like this sometime after the murder, and not before.
And what was that, if I may ask?
Very simple. When I look at things, I see them. As a matter of fact, in this case, my attention was called to the point by the smudge on your nose. Oh, do not praise me, please. It was really quite simple. You see, my friend, during the night, the fire in the grate burned out, and a fine powder of soot settled over all the objects in this room. It's plainly noticeable on everything that wasn't touched by lamp in the morning. On this chair and the other things that he rearranged, there was no soot, so I knew at once that they were placed in their present positions, not last night, but this morning. And when you told me that it was Lamb who discovered the body, well, a mere child's play to guess the rest. Now, was it not?
Yeah, easy. All I gotta do now is to find out who killed Danby. And I'm not so sure it wasn't you.
Maybe it was. At any rate, my dear professor, your class of suspects grows bigger and bigger every minute.
Now I know how it happened. Well, I gave them to Stephen, and he put them in his pocket.
You gave him what?
Why, my gloves, of course.
Я непременно должна видеть господина Гамбини. Слышите, пусть на
You gotta talk slower. I can't understand a word you're saying.
А вы не хотите? То я вас предупреждаю, что ничего мне не станет без того, чтобы я его видела.
Listen, I'm an American. If you want to insult me, you gotta do it in English. We got a Monroe Doctrine, see?
What's my doggy?
Yes.
Гамбини! Боже, где ты был? Я так волновалась без тебя. Почему ты не сказал? Да как ты мог уйти, меня так оставить? Я тебя так люблю, дурачок. Ну как ты меня оставил?
Quiet. Who is she?
Luba, my assistant. Even I, the great Gambini, must be sometime assisted.
Ну вот ты видишь, я не сказал, что ты попадешь в такие неприятности. Кто же это люди?
Wait a minute. What is she saying? What is she saying?
Боже, я не пойму, как я могла влюбиться в такого невозможного человека, как ты?
She says she loves me.
Did she just find it out and come here to tell you?
No. She was worried about me. You see, she thought I was in trouble, but I wasn't until she came here.
So you're his medium. Maybe you're his accomplice, too. Where were you at 2 o'clock last night? Answer me, or I'll give you both a ride in a wagon.
Excuse me, please, but this is not the way to make Luba speak. You'll only make her cry. Делай вид, что ты плачешь. Закрой лицо и рот платком. Perhaps now she will answer your questions, but please be very gentle with her.
Where were you at 2 o'clock last night?
Say, Chief, look at this.
Go away. Don't bother me now. Come on, speak up.
I was asleep in my bed.
What time did you leave the club?
1 o'clock. Oh, I wish you'd leave me alone.
But, Sarge, just one little look.
Don't you think you had better look at that card, Sergeant? The little man seems to think it's quite important.
Tell me in detail everything you did after you left the club.
Why do you keep bothering me? I didn't do anything wrong.
Be calm, my dear, be calm. The sergeant won't harm you. You must tell him everything he wants to know.
Get away from her, Gambini. I'll handle her.
I assure you will only frighten her.
When we left the club, Gambini and I got into the taxi. We went to a restaurant for a sandwich and a cup of coffee. Stayed there and talked until about 2 o'clock. Then we went home together.
So you're a ventriloquist, huh? You not only do her thinking for her, but her talking too. You better start explaining.
Why, he's nothing but a common trickster. And I thought he was so wonderful.
Madame, I am still wonderful. The great Gambini has not changed. What would you like me to explain?
Some of that so-called mind reading. So you called the turn on Danby, not this girl. You knew the marriage wouldn't take place, and you didn't have to read anybody's mind but your own to know that. You killed Stephen Danby. You're under arrest.
You've succeeded in revealing my professional secret, but how will you prove that I killed Danby?
With this, Sarge? That's what I've been trying to show you. It was with the stuff we found in the flower pot. I bet he wrote this.
I'm coming to your house tonight. Be prepared to pay in full. Either you settle with me tonight or I settle with you.
Sounds like blackmail.
Somebody knew what I was trying to find out about him.
I suppose there is no signature.
Only initials M.M.
M.M. Martin Mills!
Just a minute, miss.
Police?
How did you guess?
I've been expecting you. He's not in there.
Where is he?
I don't know. What's he wanted for?
Blackmail and a little murder.
Doesn't surprise me.
Just why doesn't it surprise you?
I don't know. Things never did seem quite right around here. Queer, I'd say.
What do you know about Martin Mills?
Well, not very much. I never asked questions.
If you thought he was fishy, why did you stick around?
Well, I'm not as young as I was, and jobs aren't easy to find.
Got the key to the door?
No, he'd never give me one.
If you'll allow me.
What's his home address?
He never told me. I asked him, but he said he didn't want to be bothered at home.
What made you think there was anything wrong with him?
His voice, for one thing. He always whispers. Says he has throat trouble. I never believed that. And then his gloves.
Gloves?
He always wears them around the place. Says he has skin trouble.
No fingerprints, then.
We'll get that safe open in a hurry. Police headquarters.
I can do it in no time at all if you'll give me your official sanction and protection.
Go ahead. I like to watch that operation.
I'm not and never was a burglar by trade.
Sure of that?
Quite sure. But once I was apprenticed to a locksmith, and I flatter myself I learned all there was to know about locks. Only one man ever knew more than I do, and he's dead.
Who?
Houdini.
Are you sure you're from the police?
Hey. Mrs. Randall. That dizzy dame, letting herself get blackmailed for anything like this.
You're unkind, Sergeant. That dizzy dame directed you to this office.
Danby. Stephen Danby. Here we... It's empty.
He probably took it with him if he expected Danby to settle, and it probably went up in smoke in the fireplace in Danby's room.
Maybe.
Oh, pleasure. Wig? Bushy eyebrows? Thick glasses? Heavy mustache. One half of it. Martin Mills himself.
A 38. One cartridge fired, eh? Not so long ago either. When we find him, this will hang Martin Mills.
Congratulations, Sergeant.
Thanks, old man.
So, my friends, you need no longer concern yourselves over this matter. Quite naturally, you've all been suspecting and trying to protect each other. Miss Randall here suspected her father because she didn't find him in his room last night. And when she heard that Danby was killed with a .38, she decided to hide her father's gun.
So that's why you took it from my bag?
Yes, I didn't want Sergeant Kirby to find the gun. Although, if you had taken the trouble to examine it, you would have found that it had never been fired.
You didn't think that I killed Danby?
Well, yes, I did. At first.
I thought it was Grant. Of course you did. He had all the reason in the world to do it, and he might have thought of it. But I know he never could have done it. But now all these troubles are over. You need have no further social or professional contact with Sergeant Kirby. He's convinced that Martin Mills killed Danby, and he's hot on Mills' trail.
Kirby will never catch Martin Mills.
How can you be so sure, Grant?
They'll never catch Martin Mills because Martin Mills is dead.
Dead?
He died when Danby died. Danby was Martin Mills.
Are you trying to say that Stephen was a blackmailer?
My dear boy, what gave you this extraordinary idea?
I'd often wondered how Danby made his money. The blackmail card and the part of the mustache found in his room gave me a lead. When the rest of you came here, I slipped away to the police station. There I learned that the rest of the mustache and beard were found in Martin Mills' office. Then I went to the morgue. I examined Danby's face and found distinct traces of the stuff that is used to put on false mustaches. Spirit gum, they call it.
On Danby's face? Very interesting. But, really not important.
I think it's very important. It proves that Danby was wearing some sort of disguise when he was killed. But the murderer removed it, so that the police would not suspect that Danby and Martin Mills were the same person.
But what about the card signed MM that we found in Danby's room? Surely that proves that Danby was one of Martin Mills' victims.
That's exactly what it was meant to prove. But Danby never received it. It was placed there by the murderer after Danby was shot.
My dear fellow, if all this is true, who killed Stephen Danby?
Maybe you did. Last night at the restaurant, you held Danby's keys in your hand and read out the name and address. It was you who predicted that the marriage would not take place. In Danby's apartment, you got us all involved and confused the issue in every way possible until the contents of the safe turned up and the MM card was examined. You were very anxious for that card to be found, Gambini. You called special attention to it.
Almost suspicious circumstances, I admit, as you put them. But where's the evidence they ever knew Danby? Where's the motive?
That should be easy to dig out once Kirby begins to look into your past. Somewhere your trail crossed Danby's. We'll see.
Just a moment, Gambini. As you pointed out, this gun is still loaded.
Sorry, Gambini. But if this case isn't cleared up, I'm in a mess. Maybe I'll never be openly accused of the crime. Maybe I'll never be tried. But there will always be a certain doubt in Anne's mind anyway. And I love Anne.
Wait.
I will tell you exactly what happened. I think when you hear, you won't reveal the truth to the police. I met Stephen Danby 6 years ago. I was married at the time. Happy. Stephen Danby made love to my wife. I let her go, hoping she would find happiness with him. I let her divorce me. But Stephen Danby didn't marry her. A year later, he deserted her, left her destitute in Paris. When I found her, she was ill. Nothing I could do for her was any use. A few weeks later, she died. And since then, I have followed Danby halfway around the world. Until last night, the transatlantic, I found him. From the keyring, I learned where he lived. I watched his house from across the street. Naylor came there. I saw him, but he didn't see me. For a moment, I was afraid he'd get to him before I did. But then you came. Luba, my assistant, knew what I'd do when I found Danby. She couldn't hold me back, so she took you the warning message that brought you to Danby's house. Mr. Naylor saw you going in, so he went away. But I stayed, waiting my chance. And when you came out, I saw you dead. He had started to change into Martin Mills. I wish you could have seen his face when he saw me. I waited. He fired first. His shot went wild. The bullet lodged in the frame of the door. My bullet killed him. I took off his makeup. In his safe, I found proof that he was leading a double life. That he was the blackmailer, Martin Mills. I found the list of his office. I decided to have my little joke and put the blame for his death on Martin Mills himself. So I quickly wrote the card signed MM. Put it back among his papers for the police to find and closed the safe. What I had planned for 6 years was almost completed. I put his disguise back into the makeup box. I left half of the mustache on the floor. Another clue. Then I took his makeup box, went straight to his office and left it there with my gun. I even planted a Danby folder in his file. Lamb almost wrecked my plan. When he took it into his head to rob the safe, he carried off my chief clue. Oh, what a relief it was to discover that he hadn't had a chance to remove the contents of the safe from the house.
Yes? Oh, Sergeant Kirby, I was just thinking about you. You don't say. Aren't you? Quick. It's Sergeant Kirby. He sent out a general alarm for Martin Mills. Isn't he a fool? What I'd give to see his face if he knew that it was Gambini who killed that awful man. Hello? Oh, my goodness. I'm so worried. I hope he didn't hear me. Did you notice? Tell me. Did I have my hand on? Or off while I was talking to him?
Dear lady, you have nothing to worry about.
Now, don't tell me. It's an egg.
It was.
Table number 13. The gentleman asks the question, will I marry her? The answer is yes. Table number 25. The two gentlemen would like to know if the Great Gambini would meet them at a stage door after the show and go with them on a long trip.
The answer is unfortunately yes.
The most incredible, the most fascinating, the most astonishing man in existence. A marvel of the age, who confounds scientists and detectives. In short, ladies and gentlemen, the Great Gambini bids you farewell.
So you confound detectives, eh? You give them eggs. I was on to you.
Gentlemen, you're wasting your time. You'll never be able to hold me.
Yeah? Try and explain that to the captain. Butch?
Try and explain that to the captain.
Gentlemen, let's go.